So do you want to know where home prices will likely plummet in 2026? That's what we're talking about today on the Housing Nerd, because we have inventory soaring, we have sales that are stalling in many metros, and we have rising new listings across the country. And homes, generally speaking, folks, are sitting on the market much longer than they were this time last year. So, for instance, in Phoenix, we are already seeing price declines since 2022. Phoenix is down 9.9, call it 10%. And not to be outdone, if we look at Denver, Denver is down 7.3% from 2022. And if we look at Austin, Texas, down 22, call it 23% since 2022. And I've got one more for you at the beginning of this video. Cape Coral, you know, a Florida metro would be in here. Fort Myers, Florida, down 12.8, call it 13% since 2022. So what's happening with these metros, and why would any other metros or other cities decline as well? Again, that's what we're talking about today on the Housing Nerd. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Jason Ferrier. I'm a realtor and investor. I've been doing it now in Central Ohio for the last 7.5, almost 8 years. And I appreciate you joining me this afternoon. Happy Monday. So what we're going to look at, folks, is the fact that we can kind of look at a key stat when it comes to inventory in the markets, in major markets throughout the U.S. And that's going to tell us what may happen with prices. Because where inventory has grown the most over the past year, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, ever since the pandemic, that's where we're seeing home prices soften and downright decline, sometimes double digits. And so we're going to look at a map of the U.S., and you can actually request, if you want me to take a look at a metro in your area, I can do that. And so let me get my map set up here, and we'll get started. So put it in the comments below, and we'll get going. All right, so this map is from Resi Club Analytics, and the link is in my description below. But this is the 1-year change in metro level home prices. And then the other thing we're going to look at is inventory. So we're going to look at a map of prices, and then we're going to go in and actually take a look at inventory. So this map is the inventory shift from 2024 to 2025. And when you look at the month of May. And again, if you have a metro you want me to analyze, put it in the comments below. What's going on? Prepare now for lower interest rates. Sure, why not, right? Like maybe we'll see lower interest rates. How low do you think they'll go, John Doe? Another missed appointment. Oh, you're missing an appointment for my show? Thanks, I appreciate it. Las Vegas, you want to learn about Las Vegas? Okay, let me tag that one. We got Las Vegas on here. Denton, oh, I was going to do Dallas, right? That's like the Dallas area, right? I'm going to do that one. I do have a county level look and a metro level look as well. And then I've got Colorado Springs. BJ, what's up, BJ? Yeah, I'll take a look at those. So let me just look at this. So I've got 2 looks of this data. I've got metro level data and I've got county level data, both. Again, from Resi Club. Resi Club, folks, is like, they're the best when it comes to real estate data. They take all this, you know, Zillow and Realtor.com information and put it into digestible formats. You should know that the Realtor.com is where we're getting the inventory data. Zillow is where we're getting the price data. And that's what Resi Club does. And so let me know if my audio is okay, because I have, I've kind of done some new settings on it. All right, so let me look at some of the stuff we looked at or we started to talk about this morning, or at the beginning of the show. So Phoenix, you can see, if I look at Phoenix, hopefully you can see this, but we've got year-over-year price change of 2.8%. You've got the shift since the peak, since 2022, they're down 9.9% in pricing in Phoenix. Now, Resi Club is great in the fact they give us the 1-year change in prices down 2.8, 2-year change, 3-year change, 4-year change, and 5-year change. So it's in 5 years, home prices are up in Phoenix 44.5%. Now, the other stat they give us on this screen already is inventory. So inventory there is up 18.6%. So this is a great example of a metro where you see inventory higher, you know, up by 18% compared to pre-pandemic levels. And now you're seeing prices start to soften. Now, they're still up versus pre-pandemic, but they're definitely softening and downright declining. And many people thought Phoenix would. But let's look and see if we can understand a little bit more about the inventory data. So you have to bear with me as I shift through some of these maps, because it's not at my fingertips necessarily. I have to do some clicking around. All right, so Phoenix, you can look and see now what we have going on with inventory. So this map is just inventory. So we know that they're down in prices. We know they're up in inventory. But shift since May of 2024 to May of 2025, they're actually up 23%. Oh, okay. Because this data, sorry, the data on this screen here is from May data. The pricing data is from April. So it's a little wonky there. But in any case, we know that they're up a lot. And if you look back at the inventory data for May of 2025, 20,000 units for sale. Look at inventory in May of 2017, 17,000. Look at inventory May 8 of 2018, 15,000. So there's a lot more inventory in Phoenix than there was back in 2017, 2018. Like they have like a 9-year high in inventory in Phoenix. That's what you want to watch out for, folks. If you're looking for a housing market crash, you got to have inventory, and a lot of inventory. Would you call 2% a crash? Probably not. But if you want to see carnage, you got to find inventory. So that's an example of what we're going to look at today. So let me go back to Denver, and I'm going to get to your metros. So put them in the comments. I will get to them. So here's Denver, Colorado. Shift since the peak in pricing down 7.3%. Remember, this is April pricing data. The May pricing data for Zillow isn't out yet. But it helps us understand what's going on, right? Because you got 1-year change down 1.8, 2-year change up 0.7. So they actually went up 2 years ago. If you go back 2 years, it's actually up. But if you go back 3 years, you're down 5.7. 4-year change up 12.6. Oh, man. What happened here? We got no... Got to reshare my screen. Sorry, guys. You got to love lives. Pardon me. There we go. Sorry about that. Huh. All right. Now you can see Phoenix. My bad. Yeah. Now you can see Phoenix. So I'll go back and do this again. Down 2.8%. We know that. And we know inventory is up 18%, 23%, whatever. It's up, no doubt, depending on if you're looking at April or May. So inventory is definitely up in Phoenix. Let's look at Denver. Look at this in Denver. This is insane. Inventory shift 59.7%. Call it 60%. They have 60% more inventory in Denver than they did back in 2019. And look at the 5-year change in home prices in Denver, only up 29.3%. And by the way, hit the like button if you're on this live. It greatly appreciated. It gets more people involved in the channel, and it only takes you a minute. Don't be a freeloader. Hit the like button. So prices are only up 30% in 5 years. I mean, only 30%, right? But what's that, 6% a year? Compared to like the US is like 45%. Denver's definitely suffering from probably just too much inventory. That one surprised me as far as how much inventory is actually there. Look at Austin. I got this next one here. Look at Austin. Down 22% with prices. Up 57% in inventory. And look at the prices. I mean, they've been down for the last 3 years. 3-year price change, 21%. You have to go all the way back 4 years to see a price gain. 5-year change is 31.7%. 31.7%. So not an insane price gain, although you are up if you bought 5 years ago. But if you bought 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, on average, median price wise, according to Zillow data, you actually lost value on your home. And inventory is up 57%. Wow. Wowee. All right, let me look at this other one here I got. Cape Coral, Florida, Fort Myers, down 12.8% since 2022. Year over year, down 8.7%. Just in a year, they've lost 8.7% of value. And look, 5-year change, this is a lot higher than the other ones we looked at, up 48% in the last 5 years. Inventory up 41%. Holy shnikes. A lot of inventory there. You know, another market that's suffering big time in Florida is Marco Island. That market, if I go down to Naples, Marco Island, look at that, down 6.8%. Shifts since 2022, down 7%. 5-year change, though, look at that, up 60%. So they're up a lot in the last 5 years in Marco Island, but in the last 3 years, suffering on the struggle bus. And look, inventory there now is higher than 2019, 9.1%. I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it in this live, but you have to look at that inventory level. Inventory or active inventory, new listing data, that's your sign if you're going to see price decline in your market. If you don't see a rapid increase in new listings, it means there's not a lot of distress there. People who are in financial distress, if they own a property, are going to sell their properties. If they're like, I can't afford this, I got to sell, they're going to sell it. They're going to list the house. So more inventory equals softer prices, unless there's people to buy the inventory. Oops, I got Colorado Springs on here. I will get to Colorado Springs. Clearwater, Florida. Isn't Clearwater Bradenton? Is that Clearwater? Oh, audio is good. Thank you, Tiger. Yeah, let me go back here. Okay, Las Vegas is the first one somebody requested. BJ Las Vegas. All right, let me do that one next. And tell me if you can see this map or if I need to zoom in more. The map's kind of funky the way it functions. There's like 2 different zooms on it. So I can do that, but that's just a map. I have to actually do this to zoom in. There we go. Maybe that's a little better. Las Vegas, Henderson, Paradise. They're lumping those metros in together. That's how they do it on here. So this is kind of a 50,000-foot metro view. Obviously not hyper local. Year over year, up 2.5% in Vegas in prices. Shift since the peak, down 2.1%. So where will prices fall in 2026? That's the title of the video, right? Well, if you're seeing prices fall already and you're seeing inventory higher than 2019, chances are prices could continue to fall unless demand all of a sudden explodes in that market, right? So like in Vegas, you're down only 7.4% in inventory versus 2019. So you have to watch that number and find out, all right, how much inventory are we actually gaining in Vegas. If you're seeing exponential growth in inventory, then you can kind of figure that at one point you're going to get higher, you're going to overtake 2019. And if that inventory continues to grow, prices will probably soften. So that's Vegas. What else did we have? We had Colorado. I'll do this one next. Denton or Wise County, Texas. All right, let me do. Well, isn't that Dallas? Isn't that really what it is? Is Dallas? But I do have a county look here. Here's a county look instead of a metro look. There's Denton County. It's like right over here, right? There's Wise County. There you go, Wise County, Texas. Maybe I'll just use the county level look instead of the metro. A little more detailed, right? You guys just have to help me find the county. Sometimes I get lost in these squares. Huh. All right, so this is prices. So 1 year price change in Wise County, Texas, down 0.4%. 2 year change up 1.9. 3 year change up 1.9. They're basically flat from from year 3 to year 2. 4 year change up 22%. 5 year change 38. 6 year change up 48. But now I have to go to the inventory in that market, which I can. Yeah, this will probably be better. So now I'm going to go to the inventory map and look at Wise County. So just bear with me on these as I surf around. Okay, so they're up 26% year over year in inventory in Wise County, Texas. And look, it's so like this is a great example. They're up 535 units in Wise County. That's a 9-year high, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9-year high of inventory. That would tell me prices in 2026, if you're in Wise County, will probably continue to be, would continue to soften, I would think. Let me just click this out. Yeah, look, when I look at Wise County, Texas, and look at the prices, again, this is prices. The last map there was inventory down 0.4%, and it's just started the price decline. So as you add more inventory, probably going to have larger price declines. If you're in Wise County, watch that number. It's at 500 and some now, 9-year high of inventory. What was the other one you had? Denton County, right? Which is like, oh, there it is. There's Denton County. Denton County, Texas. Mitch Bexler lives there, I think. Down 1.7% in prices year over year. Shift since the peak down 4.7. Since, I guess, when the pandemic started, they're up 44%. But let's look at inventory and see how that is. What I got? Denton County, right here, right? Denton County, Texas. Look at that. In inventory, in 1 year, Denton County, Texas, up 60% in inventory. 60. And look at inventory from 2025, 4,271 units. Hopefully you can see that. And then if I look at May of 2017, 2,564 units. Again, like that other county, Wise County, you're at a 9-year high. I can't even say it. It's crazy. 9-year high in inventory. Look at the. I mean, you got down to 695 homes for sale back in 2021. Now, 4,271. You must see for sale signs all over the place if you live in Denton County. Like to people there, they probably think the housing market's completely imploding. I would think. You got, I mean, it's by far a 9-year high in inventory. Inventory drives it, folks. So what will happen in 2026? Well, unless there's a bunch of people that run back into the market and buy a home, you know, between now and the end of the year, I would think prices are going to continue to soften. Wow. That's unbelievable when I see that. Let me click this out so I can. Okay. Now let me do the next one. What do I got? Colorado Springs is next. Colorado Springs. All right. That, yeah, I need the county. What county in Colorado? What do we got? What county? El Paso County. All right. El Paso County, Colorado. It's got to be right around here. Davidson County. Well, that's South Dakota. Huh. I don't know my counties. There we go. El Paso County, Colorado. Inventory. See if we can guess where prices are. Inventory is up 47% in El Paso County, Colorado. 47%. And it's a 9-year high. It's right here. Look at this. For sale, 2,882 listings for sale. 2017, you had 1,600 homes for sale. Back in 2021, you had 628 homes for sale. Okay, now let's look at prices there and see what we can find. El Paso County, Colorado. 1-year change in prices, down 0.8%. 3-year change, down 3.5%. Since the peak, since the 2022 peak, you're down 5.7. In other words, when it peaked in 2022, a lot of markets did as far as prices go, you're actually down. If you bought at the peak of the market, you're down 5.7%. And up 42% since 2019, right here. So when I go back and look at inventory, I mean, unless somebody comes in and buys these houses, they're either going to have to take them off the market as a home seller and just say, oh, well, or they're going to have to discount the price, or there's going to have to be something that triggers home buyers to all of a sudden buy those homes, right? I mean, if they just sit there, I guess they could just sit on the market and never change price, but that's unlikely. At some point, they're going to lower the prices. The sellers will. And you'll probably see lower prices. And as those lower prices sell, you'll see comps. And as those comps work through the system, that'll start to bring down prices even more, I would think, unless something drastically changes. But when you have a 9-year high of inventory, expect that prices will fall. Expect that. These are good counties to look at. Thank you for suggesting me. These are great. These are great. All right, what do I got next? Clearwater, Florida. Gotta like Clearwater. That's but that's Bradenton County, right? Isn't that right? Let me go over to Florida. Where is that? What is that? I gotta look it up. Pinellas County. Okay. Pinellas County, Florida. What do we got? It's right here, right? Is that how you say it? Pinellas County? These are prices down 6%. 1-year change. 2-year change, 1.8. 3-year change, up 3%. I mean, that's sick. Look at the 6-year change, 60% still. So if you bought back 6 years ago, you're still up 60%. That's what that means. If you bought 2 years ago, you're down 1.8. All right, now let's look at inventory there. One of the great things about this YouTube stuff is on this map is you become good at geography. I could have used this back in school. Same story. Look at this 9-year high of inventory. So when people are asking about the housing market crash and they're like, hey, well, you'll hear, a couple things. You'll hear prices or the housing market's not crashing. It's obviously always local. But people will say, well, will prices come down? People ask me that all the time. How's the market, Jason? Are prices ever going to come down? Well, here in Ohio, that's a completely different story because inventory here, for the most part, is still way low compared to 2019. But and prices are unhinged still. But there are markets like Florida where that's not the case. I mean, look at this 9-year high of inventory. This is how to tell. It's crazy. I'm seeing this a lot more. And the prices reflect that, right? Because now the prices are down 6% year over year, down 1.8% from 2 years ago. So there you go. Will it crash and will it keep going in 2026? Again, unless someone buys this inventory, I would think prices are still going to be soft, right? Or go down. They could easily go down. I mean, if you're in this county in Florida where that's Clearwater, like you're definitely going to see continued price decline unless somebody buys those homes. So the very first comment we got today was from John Doe, who said, prepare for lower interest rates next year. Well, if interest rates drop too much, you will probably see price gains eventually because that inventory will be bought up, conceivably, unless demand is completely destroyed. But at some point, depending on where rates go, people will come back into the market. How low do rates have to get? Will they get that low? I don't know. But there's a trigger for everybody, their magic interest rate. People buy on payment. I'm not saying you should, but consumers buy on payment. That's why buy now, pay later is so popular, because payment wins, not the price. Is that the correct way to buy real estate? Depends on who you are. I'm not saying it is or isn't, but no doubt that a lot of consumers think payment first. So if that rate gets low enough to offset the gain of home prices, then people will come back in and buy again. That's why new home sales have been doing well, because there's a lot of builders are offering like 1%, 2%. The big builders, right? Not like the boutique builders. Anyway, okay, that's great. I like that one. All right, let me see. Go back to my list here. Who else I got? Colorado Springs, I did that. Clearwater, I did that. I did Colorado. Plain City, Ohio. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do, thank you for asking about Ohio, by the way. I started a new channel, the Ohio Housing Nerd, very inventive channel name, right? And I'm getting ready to do a video on county level data on Ohio only. So tune in for that, and I will cover Plain City on that one. Actually, it's probably going to be a video, not a live, but I'll make sure I do Plain City. Livingston County, Michigan. Well, actually, let me see this. Do Plain City, Ohio. Let me go back. I'll do Plain City. I just need to find out. I don't remember what state, what county that's in. Plain City. Madison and Union. Oh, Union County's crazy in Ohio right now. The prices there are crazy. So that's like, there we go. There's Union County. All right, you asked for Plain City. I'll go ahead and do it. Well, that's Marion County. I want Union County. Yeah, Union County, Ohio. So these are the inventory numbers. Since May of 2024, they're up 37%. But basically now if you look at the 2025 number, 147 houses, that's it for sale. But inventory 2017, 145. So it's a 9-year high as well. But there's not a ton of homes for sale, only 140. So that probably keeps the pricing somewhat high. Let me look and see if I'm right. I'm pretty sure I am. Yeah, look at this. In Union County, Ohio, which is Plain City, 1 year change, 2.8% gain year over year. 2 year change, 8.6. 3, 12.5. Look at that 6 year gain, 50.2%. 50.2%. So prices are still up basically in every county of Ohio year over year, except 3 counties. I've already analyzed it. So yeah, prices are up 50%. Inventory there is up a little bit. So I'd watch the inventory, but I think you're going to have to see a lot more inventory in order to cause some type of price decline. Even though it is a 9-year high, it's a 9-year high by 2 houses. So not that bad. It was also Madison County was also part of Plain City, right? So Madison County inventory is only up 14%. You're definitely not at a 9-year high. Look at that. You've got 56 homes for sale right now. Back in 2017, you had 84 homes for sale. Let's look at the pricing for Madison County because that's part of Plain City. Yeah, Madison County up 2.7% year over year. 6-year change, 51% up year over year. Wow. Wow. A lot of Ohio counties are nuts in price gain. Jeez. Just pricing the locals completely out. So that's what's going on. Like, I mean, thanks for asking about Ohio. And again, I encourage you to check out the Housing Nerd channel, Ohio Housing Nerd channel. Only have one video on there so far, but I will do more. Okay, let's do the next one. Livingston County, Michigan. Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you guys joining me. I appreciate you. Give me the thumbs up if you haven't already. Let's see. So let me go back. Livingston County, Michigan. Where's that? Oh, there it is right there. Look at that. I found it. Sometimes I get lucky. Livingston County, Michigan. This is the price change. 3.5% up year over year. 2-year change 8. 3-year change 10. 4-year change 22. 5-year change 38. And 6-year change 42.6. I mean, it's up, just period. It's up. But the growth is slowing. Like if you look, even in Ohio, the growth is slowing. The home price growth is like, I think we've averaged in Ohio, you look at all the counties, like 10% a year over the last 6 years. Now we're slowing into the 2s and 3s. The same with Michigan. I mean, well, these guys were up, not 10%, but definitely more than 3.5 over the last 6 years. So the growth is slowing, but just not slowing enough, I guess, for a lot of people, but not down. Now let's look at inventory in Livingston County. Livingston County, Michigan. Year over year shift from 2024 to 2025, only 5.3%. So you get an area like Phoenix, where it's exploded in inventory, right? Texas, explosion of inventory. And you got Livingston County, Michigan, 5.3%. And look at this over the last 9 years. I mean, back in 2017, you had 625 homes for sale. Now, 340 homes for sale. That's it. Not even close to a 9-year high. I mean, you got down to 243 at one point. That was your low. You only have 100 more homes than you did back in May of 2021. Only 100 more. I would expect prices there to continue to maybe, I mean, they could be somewhat soft compared to, 8% growth every year, but I don't think you're going to see a big decline if you don't have inventory growing. You just don't. So in 2026, I wouldn't expect any type of massive price decline there. Now, again, this is a county level look, right? Not necessarily obviously not a subdivision level or a school district level. So it can be deceiving. You got to get really, really local with this same type of data. And you can get that from a local realtor, by the way. Just ask them, hey, I need to know how much inventory of homes we had for sale. Tell them what type of home, tell them what price point to look at in the area you want to buy in, and ask them, how many homes did we have for sale May 2025 24, 23, 22, go all the way back. Go further back. Go as far as you can go. A lot of MLSs go back into the 90s. Go all the way into the 90s and say, all right, what's the trend been like? Do we have a lot more inventory than, pre-pandemic, early 2000s, or a lot less? And that'll kind of give you a guide as to what's happening. Okay, so that's Michigan. Thanks for that. I like that. Windsor, Colorado. I need the county. So tell me the county name. Hey, Jason, love your show. I'm a number guy. So am I. Thanks, Steven. Appreciate it. Newark. I assume you're talking about Newark, Ohio, or Newark. Oh, there we go. Newark, Ohio. Huh. All right. Well, unfortunately, I can't show you Newark. I don't have that data here on this screen. I do have it in the MLS, though. So if you wanted to email me, Michaela, if you wanted to email me, I can give you much more localized data. But for now, I can just look at county data. So here in Licking County, that's where I live. That's where Newark, Ohio is. Or if you're from Newark or from Licking County, it's Newark, Ohio. Newark, Ohio, it would be correctly pronounced. Year over year in Licking County, up 24%. Inventory in Licking County has definitely been growing. I mean, we bottomed out in May of 2021 at 99 houses for sale. Now we're at 339. I think Licking County is one of the areas where we could see lower home price growth in the coming months, but I don't think we're going to see massive declines, even if inventory grows substantially. Because of the Intel projects right here, and Newark home prices have just gone parabolic. Watch, I'll show you what I mean. I'm sure you know if you're asking about Newark and Licking County. See what I mean? Look at this. I think we are going to see prices soften somewhat as inventory grows, but I don't think it's going to be a crash. Look at Licking County, 1 year change, 2%. Look at the 6 year change, 63.9. That's nuts. Prices here become unhinged locally in Newark and the Licking County area. So I feel for anybody looking for a home, like a $200,000 home back, like in 2018, 2017, you could get like a 3-bedroom, 1-bath for like redone, all finished for like 130, 140. And now those prices are 220, 230. The prices have gone insane. So I would expect prices to continue to rise. I'll bet I don't think they're going to rise at the rate they have been, thankfully, since since the pandemic. But don't expect them to crash either, unless Intel runs away. If Intel runs away, it could scare a lot of buyers away. There's just not a good supply of. Well, the other thing is there's not a lot of construction here. Not a lot of new construction, Michaela. We need more new homes. There's some, but they're expensive. Need smaller new homes, not larger new homes. Thanks for asking about Newark, Ohio. And hello from Licking County. Zane Myers. What's up, Zane? What's your opinion on buying down mortgage rate with points? Well, I'm going to star this and get back to it at the end. And I'm just going to keep going on the map. But if you stick around, I'll talk about that. What's this one? Different states have different home valuations for property tax. Florida, I bought at 17.5, homesteaded, so you can only go up 3% a year. I'm at 38K property tax valuations. Yeah, that's true. Different states have different valuations. Columbus suburbs, the houses keep selling like they're going out of style. Right. They are. A good house in a good area, priced right, will sell quick. That's like the normal real estate market in Ohio, in a lot of areas. Versus what we were seeing in 2021, 22, 23, where it was like, oh, you're going to put a house on the market that's egregiously overpriced. Yeah. And then you get 10 offers. Now it's like, that'll sit if it's not priced right. But yeah, anybody watching this from Ohio who wants like detailed Ohio information, check out my Ohio Housing Nerd channel. I will do lives coming up on there. You can also email me and I can get you detailed information on, down to a school district level if you want for Central Ohio. But yeah, thanks for asking about Columbus. I can't look at Columbus exactly. I can look at Franklin County, but I can't look at a suburb of Columbus in this data. I have to do that with the MLS data. Tampa, south side is Bradenton. Badenton. Is it Badenton or Bradenton? Oh, you want me to do Tampa? I'll do Tampa. Let me do Tampa. What county is that? Hillsborough. Hillsborough. Right around here, right? There we go. Hillsborough County. All right, this is with pricing. 1 year change down 3%. 2 year change up 0.5%. 3 year change 4.3%. I mean, 6 year change 65% in Hillsborough County, Florida. They are down 3.6% since the peak, but the peak obviously is a peak and it happened in 2022. Yeah, so you are starting to see a decline there. Let's look at inventory and see what's going on there. Nine-year high. Look at that, 9-year high of inventory. So in Hillsborough County, I'd expect prices to continue to soften. Will they crash? I don't think they'll crash. They could, I suppose, but you need a lot more. Probably need double this or something to see a crash. But watch it. Watch that inventory. That's the key. That is the key. All right, let's go back to the list and see what else we got. Thank you for that. Within the last few days, I've seen quite a few listings in Newark and Mount Vernon, Ohio, come up over 350. It may not be a lot of folks in certain states, but good Lord, a lot to folks. Oh, it may not be a lot to folks in certain states. Yeah, Knox County is ridiculous. I agree. That's in Ohio. It's not remotely normal or sustainable. It's not. Mount Vernon's expensive now. It's gone up like in the 60% range. Knox County has. All right, a new location. Hampshire County, West Virginia. Martinsburg, West Virginia. I'm guessing that's on the east side of West Virginia, right? Because you because I know where Martinsburg is. So we'll look at inventory, I guess. It's right here, right? There we go, Hampshire County. Inventory 42% up year over year. But you still have a lot less homes for sale. You still have fewer homes for sale, probably the right way to say it, than you did 2017. 154 units back in 2017. Now you got 64. So you're up a lot, right? You went from 45 homes for sale to 64. But let's look at prices and see what those have done. Look at the 1 year change in prices. 7.3 year over year. That's a lot. Remember, nationally, folks, we're at like depends on what you look at, like 1.5%, maybe 2%. Some data providers say we're up 0.5% nationwide. So for a county to be up 7.3% year over year means there's some serious price growth there. Look at the 6 year change, 62.6. Why is that? What will happen next year? Well, if you have inventory only at 64 units like you do now, back in 2017, you had 154 units. There's just not enough inventory to cause any type of price decline and probably continue to see prices increase unless you see a lot more inventory. So that's what's happening in Hampshire County, West Virginia. Can you check Fresno County area? Yeah, a lot of people move there from LA, right? Oh, it's Fresno County, right? I didn't know what county it was. Fresno County, right down here somewhere, right? Fresno County, California. There we go. 1 year change, 1.7. This is prices. 2 year change, 7.4. So they're only up 1.7% year over year, which is what like the nation's doing, right? Is that normal growth? It's actually low. If you go back 20 years, it's probably low, but average. So it's not exploding anymore, but it's certainly still going up. 6 year change, you're up 50% in the last 6 years in home prices. Now let's look at inventory and see where we are. Oh. Fresno County, you're up 41% year over year. So you did add inventory year over year. You're close to a 9-year high. Look at this inventory. 1,425 listings. Inventory in 2017, 1,459 listings. Okay, back in May of 2019, you had 1,700 listings. That was a lot. And you dropped all the way down to 553 listings. See, remember when everybody was saying in the media, like, oh, you know, there's nothing to buy. There's no homes for sale. Well, that's changing. There are homes for sale. They may not be the right type of home. They may be overpriced still, or they may be, you know, homes nobody wants, maybe beat up, but there is inventory out there. So now you're at 1,400. So what will happen next year? Well, if this keeps growing, expect prices to drop. You're only up 1.some% now, right? Only up 1.7%. I would expect prices to continue, that price growth to continue to come down if that inventory continues to rise. Unless, like you say, people are buying from California, from the Bay Area in LA, right? It's not that far, a few hours, right? Head up the 5, head down the 5, whatever. And you're right in Fresno. It's like maybe they'll buy them up if they get too low, if prices get too low. That's one of the kind of the burning questions I have in my brain is, at what point will prices come down enough for buyers to step in? I don't know. Better be a lake house for 350 in Ohio. That's funny. Howdy from Houston, Texas. What's up, Pirate Justin? Oh, thanks for the sub. I appreciate it, dude. Let's look at Houston. Is that Harris County, right? It's like down here. Come on, Jay. Where is it? Hardin County. There it is. Harris County, Texas. All right. Harris County, Texas, which is Houston. 1 year change down 1.3%. 2 year change 0.3. 3 year change 3%. 6 year change up 40%. So if you bought 6 years ago, your values are still up 40% year over year. That's what that means. But 1 year change down 1.3. Is it the end of the world if you purchased in 3 years ago and you're only up 3%? Is that the end of the world? Or last year and you're down 1.3%? It depends. Depends on what you're doing, right? If you're like, well, I'll stay in my house, you know, it is what it is for 10, 15, 20 years, whatever, you know, whatever your plan is, give it to the kids later in life. Well, maybe it's not a big deal. But if you're hoping to like make money on the house, or maybe you're flipping a home, if you're not flipping well under the median and your house isn't probably dialed in, then your flip probably won't make much money. That's just how it is. And I mean, let's be honest, we kind of need this, right? We need some type of like calming down of the prices. Otherwise, to just keep going up doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. Then you add in the property taxes and look out. All right, now let's look at inventory because I'm really curious there on inventory. Inventory. Come on, Jay. These, they don't look, okay, there we go. Yeah, look at this. Whoa! Up 37% year over year, which in itself, maybe not a huge deal when you only had maybe, what, 7,000 homes for sale back in 2021. But now you've got 17,000 homes for sale in Houston. 17,000. That's a 9-year high. When you have a 9-year high and you're already seeing price decline, you can assume that prices next year, because real estate moves really slow. Like the supply side of real estate is very slow moving. And so if you see, unless people come in and buy up this inventory, you got to think prices overall are going to come down. Depending on where you live in Houston, depending on what type of house you're looking for. If you're looking for a perfect move-in ready, inexpensive home, my guess is those are still probably selling pretty well. My guess is, I don't live there, but I'm assuming that. But if you're, you know, those are probably moving. But if you're, when you think about a house that's maybe like in the above the median there I think is like 330. If you're in the 400 range, 450, and you're selling a home, it may sit there a while. Even if it's dialed in, there's probably other homes on the street that are for sale just like yours. That's why if you're going to flip in most markets, you better flip under the median. All right, that's Harris County, Texas, or Houston. Thanks for suggesting that. What else we got? Yep, I did El Paso. Somebody asked for El Paso. I did that. I wonder, oh, Jordan Lang. What's up, Jordan? I wonder if New Mexico is having issues like Florida. I don't know. Let's find out. Where we go? I don't know much about New Mexico, so maybe let me ask. Catron County. Catron, not Catron. Good goodness, Jason. Catron County. Let's see. That's the largest county. It's saying. Well, wait a minute. That's Bernalillo County. Did I say that right? That's the most populous county. I'm probably butchering these names. There we go, right here. Bernalillo County. Did I say that? Hopefully I said that right. Up 38% in inventory year over year. Not near a 9-year high. Look at that. 2,000 listings back in 2017. Then it went down. It got to a low of 473. Now you're at 1,127. So not near a 9-year high, but certainly up. Certainly up versus 2021, 2020. Not at 2019 levels yet. Let's look at prices and see where you are. Yeah, look at the price growth. 2.8%, which is what we're seeing in a lot of markets. You know, not huge growth, but it's not down. And look at the 6-year change, 67.8%. Wow. That's a big jump. One of the bigger ones I've seen. I mean, since COVID, March of 2020, up 57.7%. And so if I zoom out here, by the way, somebody asked, is it as bad as Texas? Is New Mexico as bad as Texas? I guess you mean as far as inventory growth. Well, you can see the bluer the area, the higher the growth, right? So there are a lot of blues there, not a lot of reds as far as prices go. So I don't think when you look at Texas, there are a lot more reds. So I think Texas overall probably has more of an issue with prices, probably because of new building. I mean, some of these areas in Texas, like I was looking at this earlier this morning. Look at some of these areas in Texas, like this one, Lynn County, Texas. Oh, shit. I just cursed. They're probably going to black flag me today on YouTube. But look at the prices in Texas in some of these counties. Down 19% since the peak in Howard County, Texas. Down 14% year over year. Down 10% in 2 years. Down 18% in 3 years. Down 4%. Oh, I'm sorry. Down 20% in 4 years. So it's like tons of, I mean, they haven't, it's not up at all in the last 6 years. Look at that. Not up at all. What in the world? Boy, that's a rough county. Look at this, Lynn County, Texas. 1 year change down 8%, 2 year change down 10%, 3 year change 16%. That's down in the last 6 years too. Nobody's up. Like if you're buying a house there, it's lost value. Doesn't matter when you bought it in the last 6 years. So I don't think New Mexico is near as bad as Texas. I mean, it's insane. Some of these Crockett County, Texas. Well, they don't have a lot of data there. Let me look at what is Fresno County, Texas, down 9%, down 14%, down 18%. I mean, the only people who bought 6 years ago, 1.8% up in 6 years. You might as well put your money in a savings account, like a real savings account where you get like nothing. Right? I mean, goodness gracious. There are other areas like that too. I mean, if you look around the map. So Benton County, Colorado, down 11% in 1 year, and 2 years down 7, 3 years down 17. Anyway, you see those reds and you're like, wow, what's happening in those counties? Thought that was interesting. Oh, you asked about like Florida. Yeah, I don't think New Mexico's having that like Florida. I don't think they're in the same trouble. New construction's killing Florida right now. Shasta County, California. That is north, right? Shasta County. Right? Yeah, there you go. Shasta County, California. 0.8% 1 year change, 2 year change, 2.7, 3 year change, 1.1 down. So in the third year in, something must have happened there for prices to be down that 1 year. Or I guess they were up when you look at year over year. But when you go to 3 year change, down 1.1. Since the peak, down 3.2. Let's look at inventory. See what that's doing. You're not at a 9 year high, not at a 9 year high on inventory, but close to it. 636 listings right now. Back in 2017, you had 697 listings. I guess you peaked at 785. So you're definitely adding inventory. And I would think if you keep adding it, you probably will see prices continue to soften. Will they crash? I don't know if they'll crash or not. You don't have enough inventory probably for a crash, but you could definitely have some corrections. Okay. Ghost, what's up? Good day from Colorado. Good day to you, sir. Okay. Benton and Washington County, Arkansas. Super interesting market. High appreciation due to Walmart, right? Bentonville, right? Calling their employees back to the home office, but never seen this many homes for sale. Well, let's look, Cody. Benton and Washington County, Arkansas. Let's see if I can find it. Arkansas is down here, right? I don't remember where it is. Benton. Where's Benton County? Boone County, Johnson County. Come on. Howard County. Dallas County, Hot Spring County, Grant County. Let me go back. Hold on a second. Sorry, Washington County. Apologize, guys. That's what you get with a live. Okay, it's just on the line, on the border there of Oklahoma, right? Right. What in the world? There we go. Washington County, Arkansas. Sorry about that. I'm not that familiar with Arkansas. All right. Inventory. You said there's a lot of homes on the market. 30.1% increase year over year. So you're right. You're right. Like Cody, I mean, there's definitely an increase in listings. You were at 584 last year at this time. Now you're at 760. When you only have 700 homes for sale and they jump up nearly 200 listings, that's a big increase, right? 30%. And it's a 9-year high. Look at this. 9-year high with inventory. No, it's not a 9-year high. You had 806 back in May of 2019. So not a 9-year high, but dang close to it. All right, now let's look at, well, look at that. You were actually May of 2022, you only had 237. Let's look at prices now. Washington County, Arkansas. 1-year change in prices, 2.8%. 2-year change, 9.3%. 3, 14%. 4-year change, 39%. 5-year change, 59%. 6-year change, 68.6%. Wow, 68%. Come on, that's not even close to normal. The other one you had was Benton, right? Benton County, Arkansas. I guess that's where Bentonville is. Maybe it shares both those counties, according to what you're saying. Wow, look at this. 6-year change. Got to zoom in on that one. 80, call it 81% increase in home values. We have a winner. That's like the biggest increase I've seen today in 6 years. 81%. Hopefully those Walmart employees got some, at the corporate office, got some raises. Because, man, that's like unsustainable, right? You can obviously 5-year change, 70%. I mean, so the growth's calming down because now you're at 4.1. But I mean, if you bought 6 years ago, I mean, that's unbelievable. Whew. Let me go back to inventory now and look at that county, Benton County. So Benton County is up 20% in inventory year over year, 21%. Inventory May of 2025, 1,400 units now. Last year you had 1,100, so you are up. The bottom was in May of 2021. You had 315 homes for sale. Nothing. So it's not a 9-year high, but it's approaching. I mean, well, the 9-year high, I guess, was 1,600 back in 2018. I mean, this exercise shows you the differences in markets, but it also shows you what happens with inventory, right? And prices. People were like, when COVID hit, a lot of people thought the home market would crash, like prices would crash. Well, the opposite happened, obviously, because inventory went in the toilet. And look, you're at 315 units at one point. Not when you're used to 1,400 or 1,000. And that's why prices went straight up in the air to 80% year or 6-month increase, 80%. How can that be? How can that even be close to sustainable? It can't be. You've never seen this many homes, many for sale homes. Yeah, there are a lot more. You are seeing that. So like in an area like Bentonville, like you would probably need like a cataclysmic, you'd need an insane amount of inventory to cause any type of price problem. Like Walmart would have to pull out of town probably, right? And just flood the market with homes for sale. Like not 1,000, not 1,400. Like you'd need like 5,000 or something stupid, you'd think, to get prices down after they've been up 80%. That's really not speculation in a way, right? That's just supply and demand. If Walmart called them back to the office. Anyway, thank you for mentioning this and asking, because I would have thought to look at Bentonville. That's great. I love looking at these markets. Tampa. Hey Dennis, I looked at Tampa a little while ago. I looked at the county. I can't look at North Tampa specifically, unfortunately. I don't have that level of data. Rochester, New York. Rochester, New York. Wait, did you give me a county? Monroe County. Right. And that's North New York, right? Kind of northeast New York. Monroe County. There we go. All right, inventory. Monroe County, 457. So we've looked at all these markets so far, most of them anyway, have had increases year over year in the number of homes for sale. But look at Monroe County, New York, down 13.8. Year over year, they're down in homes for sale. Like that's not, we haven't seen that yet today, right? In fact, you're at a 9-year low. Well, I shouldn't have said that. Not quite. You had 450 homes for sale back in 2023. Now you've got 457 homes for sale, a 7-unit delta, not that much. But man, you just have no inventory there. Tell me if that's what you're seeing. That's crazy. All right, let me look at prices. Well, that's Vermont. My fault. Monroe County, New York. 1-year change, 6.5%. 6-year change, 70%. Like you're still up, what, 5 times, 4 times what the national number is. National growth is like in the 1, maybe a little under 1 to 1.5%, depending on what provider you're looking at. But you're at 6.5% growth year over year in prices. It shows no signs of slowing down. I wouldn't think there's any hope of having lower prices in Monroe County, New York. I mean, I very rarely would say that about an area that I don't live in or know intimately. I would say I doubt home prices will come down there, but unless this inventory number is wrong, I can't see how they will. I gotta check this again just to make sure I'm not like misreading this. I'm shocked. Nothing there for sale. And it's dropped since 2017. Like, look at that. You were at 1566, 1331, 1,000, 700, 500, 500, 400, 500, 400. Like, it's dropped ever since May of 2017. Probably may have been dropping before that, for all I know. Whew. Man, that's a tough market. What's the county next to you? That's the same thing. Look at this one in Wayne County, New York. I mean, down 22% year over year. You started at 329 homes for sale in 2017. Now you've got 71. I got to think prices there are unhinged too. Yeah, look at this. Up 8% 2-year change, 18.6. 6-year change, 69%. That really shows you the difference between you go to a market like where you're in Texas, or you're in a market like Florida, where there's a ton of inventory and inventory growth, and then you get to an area like New York, Eastern New York. Sorry, that's Western New York. Western New York, no inventory, and because of that, you got a lot of price growth. And if you zoom out on this map, it kind of tells you that, right? Like if I zoom out a little bit more, the blue areas are where prices are growing the most. The red areas are where they're dropping the most. So Sun Belt states, Texas, Florida, that's where everything's dropping. Northeast, Midwest, a lot of the mountain states, not like Colorado, but up into this area, things are still growing as far as prices go. All right, that was a good one. Thanks for suggesting that. I did Colorado Springs earlier. Jackson County in Kansas City, Wyoming. Yes, I'll do that one. All right. Let's look at inventory first in Jackson County, Missouri. Jackson County. Oh, it's on the border here, right? No. It's like right here. Right? Jackson County, Missouri. There we go. Jackson County, Missouri. 22% growth in inventory. You're at 1,700 listings right now. That 1,765, not quite a 6-year high in inventory or a 9-year high, but you definitely have a lot more inventory than you did last year, up 22%. Look at the low, 713 back in 2021. Let's look at prices. Jackson County. Jackson County, Missouri prices. 1-year change, 1.6. 2-year change, 8%. And you just kept going, obviously growth like a lot of other areas because of no inventory, up 56%. But that growth is slowing. That price growth from year over year is slowing because you are adding inventory. So it looks like that maybe there's hope that prices somewhat stabilize because of the inventory growth you're having. But I mean, will they crash? I can't see them crashing. Again, overall in the county, depends on where you're looking. There could be a little pocket of the county where there's a lot of inventory for some reason and prices could come down. But overall, there's not enough probably to cause a cataclysmic crash. But you are seeing the growth soften. So like in this case, does it make sense to wait to buy a home? People always ask that, right? What will 2026 hold? Well, if you're like, hey, I have to see a price change. Like there are people on my channel that comment, I got to see a price correction of 40%, or I'm not going to buy till prices come back to 2019 levels. Well, that would mean that like you'd have to wait for like a 40% drop in home prices here in Jackson County, Missouri to buy. Will that happen? I mean, anything's possible, but shoot, you got a lot of inventory to make that happen. But I would suspect that prices will continue to somewhat grow there 2026, but not at the rate it was earlier when you had 8% growth year over year. Like look at this year here. I mean, this is one of the things I love to look at. Look at this. The 3-year change in Jackson County, Missouri, which is Kansas City, is 12.4%, right? 4-year change, 27%. What does that mean? Well, it means that home prices in 1 year grew about 13%. Not to be outdone by the fact that the year before it grew 20%. 20% in 1 year. Jeez. That's not good. I did Fresno already earlier. Wilson County, Tennessee, a bit east of Nashville. All right. Nashville, Wilson. Nashville's like right around here, right? You think I'd know I think I'd know where Tennessee or where Nashville is, but I guess I don't. Probably driving you guys nuts. Like, Jason, it's right there. Probably screaming at your phone. It's right there, Jason. You just passed it. All right, Wilson County, Tennessee. It's a 9-year high. Well, no, I keep saying that I keep calling my shot without really looking. 2019, 764 units for sale. Inventory May 2025, 710 houses for sale. So you're not at a 9-year high, but you're up 30% year over year, gaining inventory. That's what you need. Got to have more inventory. Got no inventory, got no crash. All right, now we look at prices. Still up 1.4%. Again, I think you have areas like this. We see this in Central Ohio too, as well, and you see it in some areas that we've looked at today where prices aren't down year over year, but they're not up exponentially either. So you're kind of on that teetering level where prices could start to fall if you have a lot more inventory. Not more, a lot more. If you see more inventory growth, rather, then you could see prices start to fall. But like you have to have a ton of homes hit the market to see something correct this 57% growth over the last 6 years. But since 2022, look at that, you're only up 0.7. So if you waited to buy a home, right? Like I hear YouTubers all the time talk about how you should just wait to buy a home. There's too much dust in the air. Tell me if you've heard that, right? Well, like if you waited to buy a home from 2022 in Wilson County, Tennessee, it's on average, it's only up 0.7. Is that correct through every street? No. But if we just look at it, take it with a grain of salt, up 0.7, it's not the end of the world with prices. And rates may be lower, right? Slightly. So maybe you would find an opportunity to get a discount. But nobody has a crystal ball, so you just can't. Nobody's a wizard. All right, let's keep going. What else we got? That was a good one too. These areas. Gaslighting first-time buyers with old rehab needing homes or crime-ridden neighborhoods isn't right. They're still asked for a premium for those too. Gaslighting first-time buyers. Oh, from Newark. Yeah, you got to buy in the neighborhood you want to live in, obviously, right? You can't move the house. That's one thing about the house, Michaela, you can't do is change the neighborhood. Can't change the neighborhood. Can't pick up the house and move it. I will say, though, there are pockets of every city, I imagine, where there are homes that are forgotten about that can be rehabbed. And that's the opportunity, I think, for a lot of first-time buyers. A lot of first-time buyers won't take the risk to buy something that is destroyed or needs a ton of work. And there are loan programs, FHA loan programs, that can allow you to move into the house and renovate the house. So it's, I think old homes to me are kind of the key for the housing market in the future. Instead of building new homes, there's a lot of markets that there's no room to build new homes. Not Ohio. Ohio has tons of room, but like the Northeast doesn't have any room. Going to have to rehab old houses. What's the name of your Ohio channel? I didn't hear all of it. Oh, Ohio Housing Nerd. Ohio Housing Nerd. And if you search for it, you may not even be able to find it because there's only one video on there. I think I've got like 10 subscribers. So I will add more videos, and I'll put a link on this channel. I'll put a link to that coming up when I do more. Fresno, I did that. Buyers' credit ratings are getting decimated by rents, cars, credit card balances, now student loans, and buy now, pay later is getting reported. Lower mortgage rates won't be enough. Well, I think there are a lot of it'll be interesting. I don't know, Matthew. That's a great point. I've got a video coming out later this week about student loans that's like crazy. It's like insider data. And so it's the amount of FHA borrowers right now, current borrowers that have student loan debt is staggering. Staggering. Redding, California. Shoot. Where is that? I'm trying to remember. I used to live in California. I don't remember exactly where that is. Redding. That is, oh, I just did Shasta County. Already did that one. Des Moines, Iowa has 24 separate D.R. Horton communities. This is Polk and Dallas counties. Rarely are the incentives disclosed. Take a look at them. Okay. Polk and Dallas counties in Des Moines. Des Moines, Iowa. Let's go up to Des Moines, Iowa. Iowa. Come on, Jay. Polk, huh? Don't kill me. I'm trying to find it. Dang it. Where is it? I thought it was like right in the middle of the state. Ah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's like right in the middle of the state, right? There we go. Look at that. I come back and it's right here. Huh. Sorry, Matthew. All right, 1 year change, home prices. Well, let's look at. I like to look at the inventory first a lot, usually. Polk County, Iowa. Inventory up 31% year over year. Whoops. Up 31% with inventory. Now, you're not at a 9-year high, but you're dang close to it. 1778. Inventory May 2019, 1,876. So not a 9-year high, close though. You say there's a lot of new building there. I believe you because there's definitely inventory growth. But let's go to prices. I mean, here's a market that's kind of interesting. 6-year change only up 38%. So is that egregious? I don't know. I mean, not really. Comparatively to the rest of the country, it's kind of just steady growth. I don't know. What do you think, Matthew? I mean, since March 2020, you're only up 34%. That's a lot better than 80% in, where was that? New York, Western New York. 80% in the last 6 years. Ohio is up in the 65s. And then the other one was what? Des Moines had two. Polk and Dallas counties. All right, let's look. Polk and Dallas counties. There's Dallas County. Dallas County, 1 year change in prices up 1.1, 2 year change 4%. Yes, 6 year change 29%, 30%. So not near the growth that we've seen in other markets. And it hasn't been down at all like in the last 6 years, like year over year change. So it's not like you had a really bad year. The growth just isn't. I mean, I guess the best year would have been this year right here. What's that? That'd be 2021 to 20 or 2022 to 2021. 13% growth that year, it looks like. But any other year was like 3%. You know, here's a 7%. Here's another 3%, though. Then you just had a 3. Now you have a 1.1. So not insane. Let's look at, I wonder why that is. I wonder what's keeping Iowa from, you know, what kept it from exploding. Let's look at inventory now in Dallas County. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Dallas County, up 15.9%. So not an explosion of inventory. And you have, I'm not going to say it yet, you don't have a 9-year high, but you have a little more inventory than last year, 15.9. The United States is like, depending on what provider you look at, anywhere from like 19, I've seen 30%, depending on the data provider. So your inventory growth isn't exponential like you've seen in the past. But if you're seeing a lot of new construction for sale and you see inventory numbers obviously continue to rise like this, and price growth is only 1% or so, then, you know, prices may soften. And shoot, they don't have to go down that much to, you know, make that 6-year change not impressive. Like if they came down 10, 15%, that'd make a big dent. Cool look at these markets. Thank you for just suggesting that. Rarely are the incentives disclosed. I hear this a lot from people. I understand what you're saying, but like maybe it's nefarious and at some point they'll get busted for it and brought in front of Congress. But my guess is they've always done that. Not to say that's right. And by the way, even on the MLS, it's like when I enter a sold property on the MLS, I have to put in the incentive that the seller gave, or I'm supposed to, but that's kind of a relatively new field in the last couple of years. Before that, there was no mention in the MLS. The appraiser is one that's supposed to catch it. But if the appraiser looks on public records and MLS records and doesn't see an incentive, unless they actually physically call the agents involved, right, in those comps, they're not going to know either. So I think it's kind of been a problem for a lot of people for a while. You keep asking about Fresno. I did Fresno. I did Shasta County. I did Harris County. Grand Rapids, Michigan. Let's do that one. I'll be on for like another 10, 15 minutes. Whoops. Oh, shoot. I messed this up. Grand Rapids, Michigan. That's Wisconsin. Grand Rapids. Where is that? Oh, what county is it? Let me look. Kent County. Kent County. There you go. Kent County, Michigan. Sorry about that and the delay. 3.7% up year over year, 1 year change. 6-year change, 59.3. 5-year change, 49%. Up a lot. Yeah, look at this change from year 4 to year 5. 19% growth. That was a big year in growth. Wow. Okay. Now, let's look at Kent County, Michigan for inventory. Up 38%. Only 785 units, though. Your high was actually, and this is strange, right? Your high was actually May of 2020. No, May of 2019. 1,139. So while you have 38% growth in inventory, which is good, that's what you need more inventory, you still don't have as much as you had in 2017. You're not even close to really where you were 2018, 2019. You just need more inventory to get some type of price relief. Let me go back to Kent County, Michigan pricing. Yeah, 1 year change 3.7. So it's not off the charts anymore. Like that previous year was almost a 7% gain. So you're not seeing 7, 8, 19%, 10%. You're not seeing that anymore. Seeing 3, but still, it's doesn't seem like it would drop that much with inventory the way it is. You just need more homes for sale. It's just kind of the way it is. It's really materializing in the U.S. now. When you look at the map and go, where are prices dropping? What will happen next year? Well, where the inventory's exploded, that's where all the pricing is starting to come down, obviously. All right. I did Harris County already. I did that. What would you offer on $150,000 2 acres that has sat on the market for 100 days in this market? Aledo, Texas. I guess you're in Texas. I was thinking 124 to 129. I have no idea. I don't know the deal at all. I could never tell you what to offer. I just know if you don't need to buy a property and you're like just looking at the numbers, make an offer that makes sense for you. That's what I could advise, meaning if you can be patient, make an offer that's disrespectful. Make an offer where the person gets the offer, the seller, and they're like, ooh, that's low. But 100 days on the market, you probably have to look at the average days on market there. If it's way under 100 days, which most areas still are, then 100 days could be a lot, right? And so, I mean, is that a big enough discount? It depends again how married you are to the house. Like if you're like, I gotta have that house, that's a perfect home or perfect property. Well, then you have to, the closer you get to the asking price, the more chance you have to get it, obviously. But if you don't need the house and you're just looking at the numbers, maybe you go lower. I mean, you're not gonna go to jail for making the offer. And if it's listed in most states, at least in Ohio, the agent has to show the seller the offer. Meaning, if you made a low offer and made the seller mad, then and the seller was like, I'm mad at that guy. I'm mad at Aledo, Texas Twins for making this offer. Well, you can always make another offer higher, and the agent normally has to show the client that offer. And in Ohio, they can actually ask them to sign it saying that they've received the offer, not that they accept. And so that could be, so you can make an offer anywhere you want. What about Pickaway, Ohio? Ohio. Let's look. Pickaway County, I have that on here. Right here. Pickaway County prices 2.3% up year over year, 2-year change 9.6, 3-year change 13.4, 6-year change 60%. That means in 6 years, average growth of 10% every year. So now, this is something to pay attention to. Now that we're at 2.3% growth, and by the way, Tiffany, thanks for watching from Ohio. That's nowhere near where it was, right, for the last 6 years at 10% growth, but it's still growing. Let's look at inventory and see what we see. Pickaway County inventory. Up 34% year over year, so some inventory growth. 117 units for sale right now. That is a 9-year high, but it's only 117 homes. So if we had like 400 homes there, I'd say prices could probably fall. I mean, I think this is going to be the case in a lot of areas of Ohio where prices, relatively speaking, are inexpensive compared to the rest of the country. Median price here is in the states, like in the low 2s or mid 2s. So I think you're still going to see some type of home price growth, no collapse in the future. unless something drastically changes. The danger would be if interest rates get too low. Not to say they will, but if they did, if, you know, the shadow Federal Reserve, which is, by the way, the most comical thing you've ever heard in your life, the shadow Federal Reserve. I mean, you're like, what? Is that real? No, it can't be real. No, it's real. If they come out and say, hey, we're going to somehow massage the 10-year treasury to get lower, get interest, you know, get mortgages lower, would we see more explosion of growth in areas like Ohio? We certainly could. We certainly could. Let me go back to the pricing real quick. There you go, Pickaway County. Let me go back to prices. Prices. Yeah, I mean, look at this jump here. Like you had a, what's that? A 13%, 15% growth in home prices, not 1 year. This you had over a 20%, right? 22% growth in 1 year in home prices. 10% growth in a year. Will it get back there again if interest rates come down? I don't know. The pandemic thing's kind of over. But it could, you know, go into the 5, 6, 7% growth rate. No doubt. So you do have more inventory there, but nothing extraordinary, I wouldn't think. But thanks for asking about that area of Ohio. Oh, okay. Oh, where Lex Wexner lives. Lex Warner. Is that Lex Wexner? Is that what you're saying? Or Lex Warner? I don't know who Lex Warner is. Montgomery County, Ohio. Where's that? I can't remember where that is. I think I know I live here. There's 88 counties though, so I can get confused. Where is that? Where's Montgomery County? Oh, there we go. Montgomery County, Ohio. Is that like near Dayton, I guess? Somewhere around there. 1 year change, 4.9. 6 year change, 62%. What? Crazy. What happened with inventory? Let's see. In Montgomery County, Ohio. Yeah, look at that. Montgomery County, 772 active listings. Back in 2017, 1,700, almost 1,800 listings. I mean, you're up 28% year over year in active inventory, but shoot, nowhere close to what you had back in 2017. Not even close. An area like this, I just don't see how prices can really stabilize, you know, and drop, and let alone crash. Ohio's in for it for a long time, I think. I don't see prices changing here materially for a very long time until inventory somehow spikes. Maybe a lot of new builds. Maybe people leave the state. You know, I guess a United States economic collapse could cause it, like rightly so, right? But the foreclosures are really low here overall compared to historical averages. And prices are still relatively affordable compared to the rest of the U.S. That doesn't help. That doesn't help. But we'll keep our eyes on it. Thank you for that. All right. I did Jackson County. Oh, yeah. Riverside County. Yeah, let's do Riverside County. Let's do Riverside County. Whoop. It's down here, right? Yeah, Riverside County. Kind of between San Diego and Orange County in a way, or east of it. All right, Riverside County with inventory up 51%. That's a big increase. 7,992 homes for sale right now, or when this data came out. Back in 2017, you had 8,200 homes for sale. 2019, you had 8,900 homes for sale, so it's not a 9-year high, but you definitely have growth there in inventory. Now let's look at Riverside County prices. 1-year change in Riverside up 0.7, that's it. 2-year change 6.9. 4-year change 29. Look at that jump in Riverside. From year 3, go back 3 years, then go back 4 years. The difference between those 2 years, 25% in 1 year. 25%. So the year before that, you had a 20% growth, right? 50.8 to 30. And people were like, oh, wow, that was a big growth. But if you're going backwards in time, the person that bought on 4 years ago versus 3 years ago, big difference in value change. Big difference. Jeez. I mean, it says it right here, right? Shift since local peak, 0.9%. So since the peak of the housing market in Riverside County in 2022, you're only up 0.9%, not even 1%. The key to buy, I mean, if you bought back when? Early this year, 4 years ago, early 5 years ago, maybe, you obviously saw a large increase in home value. Wow. And what was inventory doing then? Yeah, look at the inventory. At one point, you got down to 2,200 units. Yeah, I mean, when you've got 8,200, 8,000, and now you're down to 2,200, it's going to be a massive price increase. So if you saw, conversely, let's say there were 16,000 or 20,000 homes for sale in this area during the GFC leading up to it, this area, Riverside, San Bernardino County, California, was like, it was like it looked like Sim City. If you've ever played that game, you like zoom out on Sim City and it's like this megapolis of just homes. That's what it looked like. Tons and tons of homes going up. New construction, obviously, mainly, right? But then it crashed. Just way too much supply. The height of the GFC, we had something like 4 million homes for sale. A little over 4 million. So you need a lot of inventory to cause carnage. And adjustable rate mortgages certainly didn't help the GFC. And property taxes are increasing people's payments, but like if your payment's going up by like $200 a month, $150 a month, that's a lot more sustainable than if your payment triples. Right? Now, new construction, a lot of people are getting dinged on taxes. So those people probably have to sell, but you need distress selling. You need forced selling. You need a lot of new listings, like a surge of new listings. And we're only up 6.5% year over year for the US with new listings. So when you have that type of increase of new listings, the carnage is not here yet. Not here. But there's a lot of goofy things going on in the economy. So you never know what will happen. Let me just look and see. But thanks for doing Riverside or asking for Riverside. Let me see. Ah, Dennis. People are sitting on billions for next price drop. Zillow is your enemy. They kind of got out of that, though. I would say, well, I agree with you. There are billions on the sideline. Billions. Like those institutional investors, they're loading into build to rent right now because that's like the hot thing, right? But at some point, if prices drop too much, you're gonna be competing with everybody on here, right? And you're gonna be competing with the institutional buyers and small investors like me. You'll compete with all kinds of people. Like the cat's out of the bag that that real estate's good, so people will buy it when prices get low enough. That's probably like, again, that's my burning question I have in my brain, in the back of my brain. But I agree. I don't know about Zillow though, because didn't Zillow get out of that? I did Jackson County. I did that one. I'm moving to Jackson. I'm moving to Jackson. I'm moving to Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. I can tell you the market there is at least 25% overpriced. Even at the rate of inflation, people who bought between 2020 and 24 are asking way, way, way too much. Yeah. I mean, eventually sellers in a market that is going the opposite direction, right? As it's going down, as inventory builds, sellers, it's like self-discovery, right? That's the best way to learn sometimes. And they'll just start figuring out that, oh, I guess I'm going to have to discount this price to move it. Price moves homes. So none of the advertising you can do, if you know, Facebook ads, you know, drop flyers from airplanes, you know, open houses. If the price isn't right, the price is not right. So yeah, eventually sellers will get the hint and lower prices. Otherwise, they won't sell their homes. San Antonio. What county is that? Let me look at San Antonio. Bexar County. Bexar County. Where's that? It's like down here, isn't it? I like this county name. I always laugh at this county. Jim Hog County. Pretty neat. Come on, Jay. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I know it's not on the coast. Ugh. I wish there was a search feature on here, but there's not. Oh, I'm way. Oh, wait. Oh, here. I know Dallas is up here. All right. All right. All right. Hang on. Okay, it's southwest of Austin. That'll help me out a little bit. So it's down here somewhere, right? Goodness gracious, Jay. Well, you think that would help me, but it hasn't. There we go. Sorry. Okay. Year over year shift, 20.5% in inventory. Geez, look at this. 9-year high. I can finally call it. 9-year high, 8,194 units. I mean, by far, that's a 9-year high. Not even close. Like, you're just exponentially higher. You're the trough, the bottom, 1,925 units. Now let's look at prices and see. It's going to be right around here, right? You're like, you just looked at this, Jason. Well, I know. So that's Travis County, which is, there it is, Bexar County. Okay, down 3% prices. 2-year change down 4.7. 3-year change down 2.7. 6-year change 36.3. From the peak down 6.8. Change since right before the pandemic, or when the pandemic started, March of 2020, 29.9. So you're like, you know, a lot of these areas that are experiencing decline in prices, you can see that 6-year change is not like it is in a lot of other markets of the U.S., particularly the Northeast and Midwest. And even in some still hot markets, or hot markets that were hot during the pandemic, right? Like 60% gains, a 70% gain. So 36% still up from 6 years ago. But look at this. If you purchased in the last 3 years, you're down. You're down year over year. Is that the end of the world? Depends on what you're trying to do, right? But with inventory like it is right now, I got to think 2026 is going to be a further decline. Unless something miraculous happens with buyers. Like all of a sudden there's a bunch of demand. So watch your inventory in your area, whatever that is in San Antonio. Watch that. If you see it continue to go up, you probably see continued price declines. Now, at some point, like someone just pointed out in the chat, will investors buy a house at some point? Sure, they probably will. If rates come down too much, will other buyers come in? Sure. But, you know, it's not like it'll happen immediately, right? Like if a house is priced too high for an investor or too high for, you know, John homeowner B and John homeowner A, at some point that house gets cheap enough where they go, all right, now I'll buy it. So it could just be little chunks get gobbled up as house prices come down. But it doesn't seem like your home prices are going to appreciate very much when you've got a 9-year high of inventory. Just wait until student loans. Yeah, very well could, right? That they're saying that's all going to happen in 2026. Like in the big beautiful bill, part of it is a new student loan program that's going to move everybody from the current forbearance program into an actual repayment program based on income. And yeah, payments could go up. Some people, the payments could go up $1,000 a month. That's definitely going to change their mortgage. Or I'm sorry, change their bottom line every month, and it could affect their mortgage. The other thing about, so here's the trick about student loans. You can't get rid of them. Like a house you can just sell, right? Or you can go, I don't want to pay it, and it gets foreclosed on. And then, you know, you get a foreclosure, a bankruptcy or whatever, wait 7-10 years and the thing's gone. But with a student loan, you can't do that. So are they going to pay their student loan ahead of their mortgage? Tough choice. I mean, student loans are going to garnish your wages. You know, they're going to garnish your tax return. House, not going to do that necessarily. Oh man, I was going to wrap it up, but then I saw this one and I'm like, ooh, I got to do this one. I used to live right there. Pierce County, Washington. I think I'd live there. I know where it is. It's right here, right? Yeah. Pierce County, Washington. I used to live in Tacoma, actually. 1 year change down, oh, I'm sorry, up 2%. 6 year change up 56%. Let's find out about inventory. Pierce County, Washington inventory. 1,800, call it 1,900 units. It is a 9-year high. So you've got more homes for sale than you had the last 9 years. I think you'll see that price gain start to soften. It already is. You're only up 2%, right? As opposed to 5%. If you take 7 from, or 2 from 7, you get 5. So in the 2-year change, right? 3-year change, 1.8, 4-year change, 18. Wow. That was a big change then. A big change from year 5 to year 4. That growth was big. Not 30%, but wow, big, 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 big. So I would say if you continue to see more and more inventory there, again, same story, different county, probably see prices soften, right? That's called softening, not necessarily crashing. You get an explosion of inventory, like if you had, what, I don't know, if you had, like you have 1,800, 1,900 units now, if you had 3,600 units, would that cause major price decline? It could. I think that's the case with any county. So, okay. Well, that was a lot, but thank you. Let me go through here and see if there's any other questions or comments. And I'll come back and like I do these I do Redfin updates every week, usually on Thursday or Friday, and they're live like this. And we can dive into other metros too. So if I didn't get to your metro today or your county, let's talk about it on Friday. How about North Carolina? We'll do it. Come back to the next live. Oh, I don't know what you mean. If you just average out the national home prices over the past 20 years, the math I came up with was like 6%. But that includes COVID, right? And the massive growth. So you have a point, depending on what metro you're in or what area, it could be 2%. If you're a normal home buyer, you shouldn't care about if it goes up or down. That's your home. If you're not comfortable, don't buy. Solid advice. You're right. I mean, should you care if it goes up or down? I mean, everybody cares. But with Zillow now, people are like obsessed with it. It's like probably your 401k when you're looking at, Yahoo Finance. You refresh like every 5 seconds. Refresh. So if it goes up like $100, you're like, woo! Goes down $100, you feel bad. And that's kind of what Zestimates have done to us, unfortunately. But overall, yeah, get in your house and chill, right? Do your thing. If you're not comfortable with that or you can't afford it, don't buy it. And people go, well, what's affordable? Affordable is, can you buy a home with your current job comfortably? And if you lose your job, can you stay in your home until you find a new one? Do you have a slush fund ready to deploy if something happens, like the roof leaks, or you need a new heating system, right? Or property taxes go up, or insurance goes up, or a tree falls on your house. You have a slush fund to back you up, and a slush fund to back that one up, and a reserve slush fund. Some people say you need 3 months of expenses. Some people say 6. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like enough to me. Airbnb didn't work. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm curious though on Airbnb. Your chat feeds need to scroll up, brother. Huh? Well, sorry. Ask yourself, can I see myself here in 30 years? Or buy first as cheap as you can and then upgrade? Yeah. Right. Can you see yourself in 30 years? It's a long-term thing, right? Not a flip thing. If you want to flip. If you want a house to live in, I mean, unless you just don't care, unless you got some money to burn, then yeah, it'd be cool with staying there for a while. Ooh, I did that. I did Bexar County. I'm just looking through here to see anything else. There was a question though somebody had at the beginning. People are probably like, holy cow, it's been forever. Zane Myers had a question. What's your opinion on buying down mortgage rate with points? That really, like, I think that if you are okay with where rates are currently, like if you can afford where rates are right now, today, and you have your mortgage loan officer, the professional you're working with, run an analysis on what's your total interest you're paying now versus what it would be buying the mortgage rate down with the points, and then where that delta is, right? When you look at the analysis and just look at the total money out of pocket and see if it makes sense for you versus where you would put the money otherwise. That's what I would do. And your mortgage professional should be able to give you some type of analysis on that. The good ones will, to say, hey, here's option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4, and compare the bottom lines. But you should, I guess my overall thought is you shouldn't buy a house if you have to buy down points. It should just be like a bonus thing that is the right financial move for you at the time. But I don't think you should buy a home if you have to use discounted points. And for whatever you do, don't buy a home assuming rates are going to come down. Do not do that. because you just don't know where they're going to go. But hope that helped. Okay. You guys have been tremendous today. Thank you for participating. Thanks for the suggestions in all these metros. Check out the Housing Nerd on Thursday, Friday. I'll do a Redfin update like this one. It actually lasts longer, believe it or not, because there's a ton of metros people want to look at. And then I've got some good videos on student loans coming out this week. I've got one on foreclosures I'm doing. I got some videos on the Ohio Housing Nerd channel, different channel just for Ohio, that I'll launch this week. So lots happening. And if you have a suggestion on a video or a topic, you can email me. I got my info's in the description on this video. You can email me or just put it in the comments, and hopefully I'll see it. And if you have a suggestion on a topic that you'd like to see or thought or think it would do well. So anyway, thank you for joining us. Thanks for your participation. Have a great day. I'm the Housing Nerd, and I am out. OUT out.